everyone. This is a new venture for us. We're going to call this Nick's Picks, and this is where Coach Bill and myself look at upcoming games. We happen to be in the NFL playoffs. We had a little play with this last week with the wildcard round and didn't do too badly, but we're going to make it a little bit competitive. So it's myself and Coach Bill going through this week's games in the divisional round of the playoffs, where we're going to see if we can whittle this one down and get some winners. How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing all right. I'm feeling really good today, Coach. Got to be honest with you. Not happy with the way I really thought I picked all the winners last week. So I'm ready for you. I'm ready for you this week. I'm ready to go ahead and get. I think I'm feeling comfortable. Cool. 100%.
Right. Okay. So best place to start then. Game one, Saturday evening. The Rams travel to Green Bay to play the Packers. The Packers' first appearance in the postseason. They had a bye week, of course, last week, and the Rams came through a game against Seattle. So let's start with this one, Coach. It's the first game of the weekend. How do you see this one going?
You've got one of the strongest defenses playing against one of the strongest offenses. You look at it right now, Packers offense, just incredible. It's not often that you see something going like that. The guys are really good. But if you look at the other side, you look at the defense, you cannot not hold back that Rams defense. Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald, just incredible. You've got a secondary that's had more picks than any other team. And you've got sack monsters all over that thing. Not only do you have Aaron Donald, who might be hurt, but something tells me you're going to see Aaron Donald line it up. There's no way in the world that guy will not want to play, regardless of any kind of torn rib cartilage. He's still going to be in there. Yeah. What did he get? 5 sacks last week, I think they got against Russell. Got Floyd in there too, who also got a couple sacks. It's going to be really interesting. But I can tell you now, Aaron Donald is going to get a sack. But that won't matter because Aaron Rodgers is going to do a lot to that defense. All right, I can see it right now. Let's just throw some names out there. You've got Valdine Scantling. You've got Devontae Adams. They got a tight end that kind of catches the ball. He's got over 500 yards this year. And then you've got the big guy, the main man, Aaron Jones. Not only can he scorch you with a ball, but yards after catch, 1,100 yards on the ground this year. I can tell you right now, team that's going to win that game is going to be the Packers.
Well, I have to say, I see this. I'm with you there. I think that the Rams defense, man, what a week they had. That Seattle offense, shutting them down, 5 sacks, as you say. That won them the game. That pressure on the QB, and I'm not so sure Rodgers has seen a defense that's this all over the QB in the season so far. What can you say about the pack? I mean, no one saw the year Rodgers had this year. No one saw that coming. He's produced numbers, as you say. He's got back up with it. But can you? When I look at this one, I see the Rams. I see a team. They had QB problems. They didn't know where they were going. They seemed to bench Goff. Goff seemed disinterested. They brought in a QB out of nowhere. Nobody see this guy coming. He gets hurt at the start of the Seattle game. In goes Goff.
Yeah, I was going to say somebody saw him coming, and that was the defense. That was the Seattle defense. They put him down on his butt really quick.
But it wasn't Goff that did the damage. It was the running of Akers. And I'm looking at this game and I'm thinking, if the Rams bring that defense that they brought against Seattle, if Akers finds some running space, which is possible against this pack, I see a Rams win here. I see a shock. I see Goff sticking it to them and a QB controversy brewing ahead of the championship game.
Sean McVay as a coach might have something up his sleeve, but I think it's going to take a lot to stop these cheeseheads this year.
6 games against the Lions, the Bears, and the Vikings. Vikings have had a good year. Let's be fair. They overperformed, but that's 6 games. That's not a test. And the weaker schedule, I would say the Packers have had a weaker schedule, and they haven't come up against a front 5, the likes that they're going to come up this week. And defenses win championships. Everybody says it. Defense will win you a championship. But I also sometimes think the bye week can not always work to a team's advantage. And I think the momentum, and we're going to get onto that with another team coming up, perhaps a little bit more. The Rams have now got that ball rolling. And if they can continue where they left off against Seattle, again, for me, I can see an upset. And I love that the first game that we've discussed, we're both seeing it from different sides.
Makes it interesting. All right. Well, shall we go ahead and, speaking of the next game, should we head over to New York? Should we go to Buffalo?
Yeah, let's do that then. So there's game 2 on Saturday then. Cold New York. But, a bit of a local rivalry, this one, the Bills and the Ravens. Not sure anybody see this perhaps coming at divisional. Maybe they did. The Bills, we've said it last week, the Bills had an outstanding season. Ravens, backwards and forwards. I'm looking at this one, and indulge me in this one a little bit, Coach, but I'm seeing this one as a Ravens team who have underperformed this year. Lamar has been up and down, hot and cold. Maybe that's because teams have not sussed him, but found a way to keep him cool. But then here he goes against the Titans. Everyone expects Derrick Henry to run all over the Ravens. Lamar turns it on its head. 140 plus yards on the ground. You've got Derrick Henry held by the defense to 40 yards. And again, are the Ravens just getting hot on there? The Bills have had this playoff hoodoo for so long, which they've now got over. Has that got them into that hump zone where it's okay now? A bit of pressure's been released. Allen and Diggs, where do you go beyond that one for the Bills and the Ravens? I see this one. I see the number 2 defense of the Ravens shutting that down, and I think the Ravens get this one done.
Okay, well that's good, Coach. I think your research is helping, and you're looking at it. I'm pleased that we're going to split this one because I see the Bills winning this one. Yeah, you can't look. You look at Lamar and that he's there. You look at Dobbins, that he's there. I don't know. There's something about this Buffalo team. Their defense is a lot stronger than they look. They're holding people back. If you look at it, it's going to be an interesting one. The secondary of the Ravens is a bit of a tough one. They're going to run the blitz. They run the blitz a lot. I really see that there's a potential on this. Big one number for me right now, points per game, Buffalo. You look at the other numbers, interceptions. They don't throw interceptions. Both of these quarterbacks don't throw interceptions. Sacks, well, Baltimore allows a lot of sacks. Lamar gets sacked, mainly because he spends too much time in that thing. Third down conversions, they're both at 48%. Passing yards allowed, similar. I think that this is going to be the game that you're going to go ahead and see Josh Allen actually show just what he can do. And Stephon Diggs, he's had a chip on his shoulder ever since he ended up getting into the league. And he's definitely going to show up for this one. So, yep, I can see it right now. Ravens, they'll blitz. Allen will end up going ahead and running a couple in. I think it'll be a good game. It'll be definitely a good game to watch. But I'm still smarting from last week because never in my wildest dreams would I think that Derrick Henry would run for less than 50 yards. But I can't see that happening again. Remember, in our fantasy football league, I had that Ravens defense, and they ended up giving me negative points 3 games in a row.
Yeah, but they end the season number 2 ranked defense, and on a season where they've been slept on. They haven't looked like a number 2 ranked defense. Yet there they are. The stats are there. And you've got Buffalo who have given up. They're about 16th, 17th in the league in rushing yards. They're 27th in conceding rushing TDs. Now, if you're going to beat Baltimore, you have to stop runs and you have to stop scores on the ground. I think Mark Andrews has a big game this week. I think Lamar uses that to get down the field, and I think they punch it in. And again, last week we didn't look at the Ravens as a team that go and overcome Tennessee, and they shut them down. As you say, Henry has been running for fun this year. Could not get that going, and it wasn't for lack of trying. They gave him the ball a lot. I think it was a vintage performance from the Ravens, and I think again it's that time of the year. First game we keep coming back to it. It's those defenses can cause big problems, and I think this is a great opportunity for Allen. The experience that he's gaining, fantastic. But I think this is now, I think, where the Bills are for this season. But there you go. Look, we're both on opposite sides here. We're both seeing games from different angles, which is fantastic. That's what football's all about. Football's about opinion, but it's fantastic to be able to see it. Saturday's done. We now move to Sunday, and for me, it's no surprise that the scheduling's been done in this manner because I think the games are going in order here. I think probably what most people will say is going to be the game that they're looking forward to the most. So this is not my game of the week, but I think the Browns travelling to the Chiefs. Wow, those Browns! They last week. Well, I'll let you have the floor first on this one. I took the floor on the last game, but I can't wait to talk about this game.
If the Browns hadn't had such a good performance last week, you and I wouldn't even be discussing this game. It would have been let's move to the next one. But I don't know. For me, I think that you're going to see that Chiefs team they're strong. And I hate that. Remember, I'm a Broncos fan, AFC West. You don't go for the Chiefs. You never go for the Chiefs. But, when it comes to going ahead and making predictions, you've got 2 ways you can go. You can go with your head. You can go with your heart. My head tells me that you're going to go ahead and see another absolute perfect game from someone, from the Chiefs. Mahomes is going to do something incredible. He's going to yet another highlight reel. But there's, you got to remember, these are 2 quarterbacks that have played against each other back in university. They played in a college bowl game. And Baker Mayfield probably, he's up and down. He probably, he's definitely he's not on the same level that Mahomes is. There is no way in the world that you cannot look at the Chiefs just going ahead and rolling them over. And if we had this discussion, if the Browns hadn't won last week, we wouldn't even be discussing this game. We wouldn't. It would just automatically be that thing. As someone who is a Broncos fan, in the AFC West, the only team that I hate more than the Raiders and the Chargers is the Chiefs. But you can't go ahead and discount these guys. They're just an incredible team. They've done so much. They've done it not only on the arms and legs of Pat Mahomes, but the team itself is really strong on special teams, strong across the board. 14-2 record. There's a reason for that. But the Browns are actually there, and the Browns are looking good. And the thing is that they've got that defense. They've got a strong defense, and Mayfield can do it. They've got offensive weapons. You've got, Nick Chubb or Kareem Hunt. You choose. But one of them is going to end up scorching you for over 100 yards. So it's going to be a really tough game. My heart tells me that it's going to end up being the Browns. But my head tells me it's going to be the Chiefs. So in this game, just to be controversial, Coach, I'm going with my heart. I'm going with the Browns to go all the way to Kansas City and beat the Chiefs. That could end up coming up to bite me, but, you know, the dog pound is known for something, and that is biting other teams. So let's see whether or not that might happen. What do you think? What do you got this week?
Well, I'll tell you what, this is probably going to come as a bigger surprise than anything, because I'm with you on the outcome of this game. Now, I agree. We didn't have the Browns beating the Steelers last week. But they jumped out to such a big lead on the back of some incredible defense, which, again, we didn't see coming. I don't think anybody saw that coming. They are, in this whole scenario, the playoff rounds, probably the weaker defense that's out there. But they scored nearly 50 points on the Steelers. You don't score nearly 50 points on the Steelers.
No.
Agreed. The Steelers nearly came back, and it was still, that game went down to the wire, and you know, it could have gone either way in that last quarter. But they've got momentum. We spoke about this earlier. They got into the playoffs. They come into the playoffs, the underdogs. Nobody's expecting them to do anything but to go to Pittsburgh and get trodden on. Juju Smith-Schuster, anyone that's seen it all week, the heat that's been on that guy because of what he said fired them up. Now, I haven't seen anything like that coming from the Chiefs, and I think that's Andy Reid. I think Andy Reid, a fantastic coach. There's nobody in the league that I would like to see win another Super Bowl more than Andy Reid. And he's worked that team. He's built that team, but he's built that team on offense. As you said, the Chiefs are 10th ranked defense. They are a team a bit like the Liverpool team in the 90s. We'll score more goals than you. And if Cleveland have got any chance in winning this game, it's by forcing the same sort of mistakes from the Chiefs that they did from the Steelers, because that's the only one. They had to have a perfect game, and the Chiefs have to be subpar. And here we go again. The Chiefs are coming off a bye week. They're going in as the massive favourites. No one's looking at Cleveland to do this. They've got the pressure of being the defending champions. They're looking for a repeat. And repeats don't happen very often, regardless of what's gone on in the last, the Patriots era, if you like. Those back-to-back wins are so hard. And that's where I come from. That's where I'm looking at this game now, saying you've got a team that no one expects to do anything, that has that chip on their shoulder, playing with momentum, but has legitimate threat, which we saw last week. They're there on merit. They didn't fall backwards into this. They're there on merit, and I'm with you. We may be going out on a stretch here to be a bit controversial, to get everyone, piping in the comments. How if you go against the Chiefs? The Chiefs are going to run riot in this one. But I can see a pathway here. I can see a route to the championship game for the Cleveland Browns.
I'm with you. I think that there's a potential, and again, the one thing that you can always expect during the playoffs is no matter what's happened in the during the season, that's the season. Playoffs, anything can happen, especially during this year. Anything.
And
so I think
here's a stat for you. The Kansas City Chiefs are 19th in the league for sacks. That's for a championship team. You're not getting pressure on the opponent's quarterback. Sooner or later, that's going to come back and it's going to haunt you. And as you said, you've got two great running backs in Cleveland. And if the front five not getting pressure, if you're not slowing things down, if you're giving Mayfield chances, you could be chasing the game. And look, we may be way off here, and the Chiefs do go out there and it could be a blowout. But I just, with you, think that there's enough there to make this game more interesting than it should be. And if this was a regular season game, nobody, as you say, nobody looks at anything other than the Chiefs running out with a big win. So, Coach, moving on. Last game of a busy weekend, 4 games. We're looking at, for me, this is the game of the week. this was the game that I had the most trouble when I looked at it. And it's the Buccaneers traveling to the Saints. It's Brady versus Breeze. It could be that this is the last game in an era for one of these quarterbacks, because neither of them have made big noises about coming back next year. Neither of them equally have said that they're not. But we're getting to the point now where every game for these guys makes you wonder. Brady, whatever you think of him, he has got hot again. He is leading that team. They went to a Washington team, which nobody really knew how that game was going to go. 31-23, they won that game. For me, they didn't look like they were ever in real danger. I don't think they looked like a team that weren't going to come through that. You look around Brady at what he's got. Nobody's really spoken about Gronkowski this year, and I think that was, he's not really done a huge amount that we would expect from him, which means this game is when he turns up. But you've got Godwin, Antonio Brown. It's almost as if suddenly he's turned up and switched on something in Brady. And even Leonard Fournette, running back. You've got enough there to trouble a Saints team, which, while they have got a high-ranked defense, again, for me, I don't think they faced too many teams that have given them so much trouble as the Bucs can do now. And again, the Saints have beaten the Bucs twice this year already. The Bucs will have something to prove. They won't want to be beaten 3 times in the same season by the same team. Kamara, he's going to be a threat. He's going to be a threat all day long for the Saints, and he's not their only threat. Brady can find open receivers at will. It seems he's still got that passing power. They are built around this high power, high scoring offense. Only put 21 points up against the Bears, but again, didn't look like they got out second gear. Didn't need to be fair. The Bears never really pushed them. But you're looking at, again, the thing that might cost the Saints for me is their red zone defense. Their red zone defense is really poor, as is their pass defense. And if Brady can move that Buccaneers team into that territory, I see them coming away with enough points to outscore the Saints team. How do you see this one going?
Well, it depends on who's going to be playing. If you end up seeing, if Taysom Hill gets in, and you see Drew Brees kind of sitting the bench, or they're moving both of them in and out, you never know. I'll tell you the 2 most important players in this entire team, in both of these teams, each one of them, Ryan Sutcliffe and Will Lutz. Both of those kickers are going to be the main deciders. You're looking at 2 teams that don't seem to be able to punch it in. Yes, Antonio Brown has had 3 touchdowns in 3 games. You look at, the way that they're able to run the ball. Rojo, not so bad. Fournette comes in and just plows straight through. And then you look over at the other side, and you've got someone like, you can't go ahead and not look at what they're going to do running for the Saints. My feeling is that defense is going to play a lot of this. You're inside I think it's the Mercedes-Benz now, but, we'll always think of it as the Superdome in New Orleans. Mm. But, I can't, within my own heart, can't see Drew Brees winning this one. I don't see the Saints going ahead and getting this game done. I really think that it's going to come down to, Brady's. There's a reason why the guy wins. I mean, he's – where's New England right now?
Yeah.
New England is not in the playoffs, all right? But then you got Brady in there. Now, while Bill Belichick is a genius and will go down as a genius, Hall of Fame easily as a coach, Brady's a lock for a Hall of Fame because the guy's just a winner, and he surrounds himself with talent. Most people wouldn't touch, well, we've seen it. Nobody would touch Antonio Brown with a 10-foot pole. But again, Brady played with him when he was at the Patriots. Brady's playing with him now. They hooked up once before. They're going to do it again. You've got Mike Evans. You've got Chris Godwin. You know, there's so much on that Tampa Bay team. I really think it's going to be difficult for the Saints to go ahead and take them down. It's either going to be ridiculously close and you're going to see a 24-21 win, or you're going to go ahead and see they're just going to strum away from them. I think Kamara's going to get shut down. I don't see yards per carry. He'll catch a couple balls, but you will not see Kamara going ahead and being able to run on this team. He just I'm with you with the Bucs. I see the Saints have been my call most of the season for the NFC, getting to the Super Bowl even. But when you see that Buccaneers team playing at the moment, and again, we have to talk about what they're doing now, not what's gone on in the season, but where they are now, it's interesting. I differ in you. I think this is going to be a shootout. I think this is two QBs who have got enough pull within both those franchises, both those teams, to be able to put this game on their shoulders and play this game in the way that they want to go out. And I think that's, if I'm coaching either of these guys, I'm sitting there saying, look, you go out there, you lead, and we'll follow. And I think this is going to be a shootout. I see this being high scoring. I think we see guys flying in from all over the place, all angles. I don't see Kamara getting shut down per se, but I think that the Buccaneers have enough to outscore the Saints in what, again, as I say, I think for me this is the game of the week, and I think there's so much on this that we could be talking about this game for months about what happened, or equally it could be what was all the hype about. So it's a really interesting weekend. There's some really good games. Our picks are interesting. Both the picks on Saturday, we see things very differently. But on Sunday, we're more aligned in our thinking, which is always interesting. So thanks for joining me this week, Coach. I look forward to catching with you next week when we look at the championship games and who's got there. For those of you that are watching that disagree with what we said or agree with what we said, put some comments in or send some, email us. Let us know your thoughts. We hope next week to try and invite a guest who can also add their thoughts into the mix, because we won't have so many games. But we're definitely going to look to do this on a weekly basis, round out the year, and then next season hopefully we can pick back up, and maybe we can even find a nice little reward for who comes up with the most correct picks at the end of the year. It's been a pleasure talking to you, Coach, as always. You have a great weekend, and I look forward to catching up with you next week. All right. Thanks very much, Coach. We'll see you later, and go Pack Go.